Welcome to the Team of One podcast, where we share the story of the solopreneur by exploring different ideas from different voices so you too can find a way to live life on your own terms. My name is Mo Choice, and I hope you enjoy this next episode. Peace. Welcome back to the Team of One podcast. Today I'm joined by Christy Meaux. Who are you?
I am a lifelong Texan, born and raised in the great state of Texas, and I am the Chief Empowerment Officer at Cohesive Confidence, which is a business and brand strategy with color analysis for brand presence for women entrepreneurs. And I am a former mortgage professional turned full-time entrepreneur. Loving life. I do not have any children of my own, but do have a niece and nephew that I get to love and mentor and encourage throughout their lives.
So Chief, what officer was it, Christy?
Empowerment Officer.
So when I hear a title like that, two things come to my mind. First of all, what the hell is that? So I'm sure you're going to tell us. And second of all is, I thought you were a solopreneur.
I am a solopreneur. I am a one-man band. I do not have a huge team behind me for support. I am navigating things and still creating as I go along. And that's where I stay.
So I could call you the Chief Everything Officer.
You definitely can do that. I feel like the CEO, the standard CEO answer is so canned. And nobody really knows what all that means anymore. And for me to choose that word empowerment is very strong. And it's not only to motivate and have others question exactly what that means, but it's also a big motivator for myself.
So tell me about why that's a motivator for yourself.
I come from a long line of expectations that were set upon me by other people. And over the past few years, I have started to recognize when those expectations are not in alignment with who I am, the future, and the life that I'm creating for myself. And to be able to be empowered and give myself the permission that I deserve to do what is on my heart and fulfill my soul's purpose. I am empowering myself to be able to pursue that, but also allow others to experience that for themselves.
And when you say my soul's purpose, what does that mean?
I'm a connector. That is the root of what I love doing with very little effort is I help connect people with one another, with their community, but also with themselves.
So it's like your soul purpose or your soul purpose?
My inherent, intrinsic soul.
So it's the soul purpose.
The soul purpose.
Do you identify as a solopreneur?
I do.
What does that mean to you?
For me, it is everything that happens in my business is driven by my decision. It is my vision. It is not giving pause for others to designate what my business should look like. I will never sell this to a partner or have other insight. I will have, and I do have, a team of people that I reach out to for insight and feedback as I'm putting and refining everything that's offered in my business. But it's not so much that they're making decisions on how that moves forward. So for me, I have my solopreneur mindset of I get to be the one that makes the decisions, but also I get to choose the resources that I embody and connect to within my business.
And so there's obviously a history that's related to the expectations part and you figuring out that actually I have different expectations of myself. And I can imagine that's quite an untangling of past and future. And that seems deeply connected to the fact that you want to be a solopreneur and the way you define solopreneur. So tell me a bit more about that. How did you
Sure.
how did you come about deciding this is my path?
I started to recognize, and I come from a background where my family, my parents, my sister, they are in a lifetime career. They went to college, got a degree in a certain area, and they work and have worked in that field, which is honestly really unique for the world today. Whereas generations previous was, you worked 20, 30, 40, 50 years at one company and had this lifetime achievement award and all of these things. And my path and my career has been anything but that. It's been very segmented. It's been widely varied, going from retail employment to project management where you're going from contract to contract and very unstable, into this mortgage space that I served in for the past 6.5 years, getting into recognizing punching the clock for a workday that is designated by someone else's standards, branding myself with the core values, the identity, the services of another company and a bigger brand, and wondering why nothing felt like it was right. And I worked for several different mortgage companies during my tenure there, getting to the point where I walked into a boss's office after having lost my 16-year-old dog and 2 friends within a week. And it was a lot. And I sat down and I said, please know that my activity is lower because these things have happened in the last 7 days. I would really appreciate some grace. And the response to that was, yeah, we've had some people in the office comment on your negative attitude, and we really need to adjust that a little bit in order for things to continue. And I cocked my head to the side a little bit and I looked up, and my reaction was pretty flat. But I remember all I said was, wow, nobody has spoken to me about my negative attitude or inquired if there was anything wrong, but I appreciate you letting me know. And I went back to my desk after that conversation and started pulling things out that I knew I wasn't going to leave at the office, because I then was going to become a work from home employee. Now, mind you, in the mortgage space, typically loan originators are responsible for their income. There's no leads being fed in. It's all based on the relationships that you make with outside referral sources and repeat clients that allow your business to continue and be financially successful. And this was the case in that current role. But I was being told how much I had to bring in every month, how much I should close in a year to be celebrated, how much I should close in a year to be considered successful. And I finally hit the wall and said, no more. I'm going to brand myself. I'm so tired of having to fit into the mold and the expectations for success and achievement based on somebody else's numbers that look good on paper. And for me to go out and edify a company and core values and an identity that was rooted in business, but not on me as a person, didn't feel right anymore. And I finally recognized, and I'm so proud of myself for having that light bulb go off that said, you have what you need to go be you. I knew what I wanted my business to look like. I knew what I needed to do in order to achieve the things that I had set out in front of me. And I was working in my goal, which created the conflict between their expectations for what my life should be and what my expectations for what my life should be. And ultimately, it led me to close myself away from the mortgage space and move full-time into this solopreneur entrepreneurial space where I can help others recognize the power in their own personal expectations.
Wow. That's deep. Do you remember the day? Was that the day that you decided to be a solopreneur when you heard that?
I knew that I was branding myself that day. And I started in 2023 coming into it with going from retail into a wholesale lending space where I had more autonomy over my mortgage career. I also had started to get a certificate in business strategy after being part of a program. I was offered the opportunity to pursue that, and I said yes. I was also offered the opportunity to help launch a skincare brand with 3 other women and a team of us that were on the ground floor to do that. I said yes to that. And then I had also started copywriting professional and personal bios for women who didn't know how to introduce themselves when they walked into a room, and giving the women these powers of being seen and taking control over how others perceived and received who they were when they entered any space. I started doing that. So I had these 4 services and none of them were connected.
Hmm.
Fast forward a few months, my mom had been diagnosed with cancer. I was trying to navigate what these things would look like, and I was 4 hours away from her. And I attended a networking meeting in the town I lived in at the time. And the prompt was, tell us your name and what you do. Don't tell us the name of your company. Don't tell us your job title. And it was that moment when it was my turn, came around to say, I am Christy Meaux and I create cohesive confidence. Because in every single service I offered, I was providing women and my clients with an avenue to confidence in what they were doing with their money, in what they were doing as their identity with their bios. I gave them confidence in the skin that they were in so they could be confident in the way that they looked going out. And I also had created confidence with my clients in the business strategy space. They knew exactly what they were doing when it came to the business they created. And so having these 4 services finally have a home to take root in started the wheels spinning forward. And slowly and surely over 2024, even through the loss of my mom, I had relocated to be with her and knew that having to recreate business in another market from a mortgage perspective would be challenging. But also, I kept getting inquiries from other people who wanted insight on what they should do for business and how that should work and what was the thought process behind X, Y, and Z. And this business strategy piece started coming forward. After my mom died, I had no energy to really want to throw money into another real estate market. I didn't know where I was going to stay, but I had already disconnected from where I came from. And at the end of August, my mama had been gone for a month, 4 or 5 weeks at the most. I filed my LLC, launched my beta program September 1st with 7 women, and I became Cohesive Confidence that day.
So tell us about the big challenges of you creating this new identity, let's say, or
Yeah.
this new way of being, and becoming, forming the LLC, launching the beta, and getting to where you are. What were the challenges on the way?
I don't know that we have that much time, Mo.
Let's go with the biggest one. Let's start there.
The biggest one was bringing that identity forward. I was in a new market. I had to make new connections, new networking groups. I have an online space, but online space, I'm sure you recognize, is very crowded. It's hard to be seen and stand out, especially without the online reputation that allows you to be put in front of people the way that I get to do now. Biggest challenge was getting traction and having people believe what I was doing and trusting me to do it, because I had this other identity that I had to shift out of and recreate who I was now as I'm the business owner, I'm the trusted resource, and I can get you results. So when you don't know people and you don't have a past in a community where you already have relationships built, starting over, and I'm almost 50, starting over at this stage in life in a completely new solo career is incredible and incredibly challenging.
Give me a taste of the chat. Like what was a bad day? What did that look like?
My goodness, a bad day. A bad day was sitting down at the kitchen table January 12th of this year with an entire game plan for what was happening in my business and all of the things moving forward. I had relocated up here and stayed in the house with a man I was with for 8 years. That day, he sat down at the same table and told me he was moving to another state and I needed to find somewhere else to go. So all the networking and connections that I had made and cultivated in 2024 in a new environment became very distant. And I ended up moving in with my dad, 45 minutes away from that. So I had started over once and now I was starting all over again. And the energy and question around that identity was the worst feeling in the world. To feel like I had lost my relationship, I had lost my home, I had lost my mom, all within 6 months. And giving myself time to process some of this, being in extreme grief, not really sure where I was showing up, how I was showing up, and if anyone would believe it. Because there's so much self-doubt that comes to the table when someone chooses to walk away from you.
And
That was
that's
the absolute worst day.
not really related to your business, but it's an example of where private life can impact on business. A clear example of
Yeah,
that.
I had to choose the resilience, and I had to dedicate and promise myself that I was going to give myself the opportunity to rediscover who I was in this new identity again. But it's the consistent assessment and refinement that is essential. And I don't care at what stage or what business you're in or what role you have agreed and choose to step into. If you are not assessing and refining who you are and how you're showing up in each day, in any circumstance, you aren't giving yourself enough credit.
Just so I'm clear, Christy, and thank you for sharing all of this. You mentioned that you had to move in with your father, which was 45 minutes away, but implied that meant that the network that you started to build got lost. 45 minutes is a big change. It seems like
It
it's
is
not.
when you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Okay.
It is more challenging and it's weighing the options of time, right? When I'm going to spend 45 minutes one way, 45 minutes back, that's an hour and a half in the car that I'm not in front of people. Versus being able to show up to something that's 15, 20 minutes away, spending an hour, hour and a half in a room full of people that you can have a physical interaction with in person.
Fair.
It's the weight and, the check and balances of where is my time best served And as you're building a business, it's not spending an hour and a half in the car 2 or 3 times a week
Hmm.
on a toll road.
So your business was dependent, location dependent, we would call that.
Some of it, I mean, it's all virtual. Everything that I do is virtual, but being able to build a community where people know, like, and trust you, which is the basis of sales, typically when people are making a decision to buy. Um, I don't have a name brand behind me having to go create that and be the example of cohesive confidence.
Hmm.
That's easier achieved. And being part of community, living at my dad's, working from my dad's house, if I'm not out there getting one-on-one connection with people in person, it's a very lonely existence.
I got it. I have a different experience actually. I didn't like the face-to-face stuff, and I just went online,
No.
thrived online, and that's why I'm location independent. That's why I was curious about that.
Well, and if we go back to look at my soul's purpose of being the connector,
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. So
that
it's
leans
all
in.
yeah. Just for anyone listening, it's like it depends what needs you have to fulfill, and what works for you. So it's super important to think about these things, huh? Um, okay. Have you gotten to a stage now where you know you're on the right path, or are you still looking for that?
I am absolutely certain I'm in the right lane. I'm doing what I'm called to do. The momentum in my business has definitely started to pick up in the last 3 months, where I'm being invited to do presentations in rooms of 10 to 20 people, which is a wonderful, sweet spot for me. Being able to have that one-on-one engagement in a group is exciting. It keeps the environment fun, and showing up and building relationships to where when I meet someone in person and versus meeting someone online, I'm much quicker to get referrals and people that want to spend time with me in any space, virtually or in person, because I've made that one-on-one in-person connection. And having been in the real estate space from a mortgage perspective, being able to be in the room with other real estate agents and that industry, those connections are very easy and they're fruitful. So I know that where I am and what I'm doing and how my business and offers have evolved over the past few months have been very, very, very intentional. And they're exactly what they should be.
Do you remember the moment when you realized that you were on the right path? Do you remember that?
I think it's been gradual. And each week, going through this year of healing and recovery after sudden change, I'm stacking my own confidence in the steps that I take, the words that I use, podcast appearances. I had no idea at the beginning of the year that this would be where I would end up. And it has been so beautiful, so validating. And seeing people that I get to work with who are my clients take the results that they get and apply them to the way they show up in different spaces has been absolutely incredible. And so it's validating every single time I get that experience that this is true. And I don't question it anymore, so much so that I had an opportunity to renew my mortgage license and to pursue that. And I made the decision 2 days ago that I wasn't going to do that when the calendar flipped for this year. And I didn't renew it at the end of 24, but I did in February because I thought I was going to lose everything. So I might as well have something to fall back on. And to make that decision and get back to that place 2 days ago where I said, I'm not going back into mortgage. I'm not giving my energy there. That's not my soul's purpose. And if for some reason the universe says, Christy, you're supposed to do that, then I'll go back and get it done again. But it's not something I have to hold today.
What is the next level for Christy Meaux?
The next level
Yeah, what are
is
you aiming at? What are you aiming at next?
right now I have a 60-day financial goal that gets me into and positions me to move into 2026 with some really big, audacious goals. And one of those being, and I mentioned I'm turning 50 soon, I will be 50 at the end of December. Coming into 2026, celebrating my new year at the same time the calendar turns over. But I have a goal to have 50 speaking opportunities for 2026. And it doesn't mean 50 podcasts, which that would be wonderful. But I have a big vision for me to be standing on the stage, traveling across the United States, speaking to groups of women, showing them what's possible as long as they believe in themselves and give themselves permission to do it.
And
That's what's coming.
and obviously, in the advantage of being a solopreneur, although sometimes it's a double-edged sword, is that you can do whatever you want. And so I'm sure there's other things you could be doing in 2026. Why have you decided this is the thing that you should be doing?
I have a strong belief, and it comes from navigating life after losing someone very special to a circumstance that they chose. And I continue to share from that angle as well. But my mindset is if it helps one, right? Because we know what happens when one person takes that next step into something more, and the ripple effect, it's the butterfly effect across the world. One mom has an opportunity to pursue what fills her cup, and her daughter sees that happen for her mom. And the daughter starts to believe in herself. And then the daughter's friends. And you have no idea how far that reach goes. And so for me to have that experience, and I don't even have to see it happen for someone, but to know that I've planted the seed and created a curiosity that someone says, what if? What if I could go be what I wanted to be when I was a little girl?
So,
Because that's what matters.
well, I suppose my question was why. I get the intention, that's clear. Why is it that going and speaking on stages is the right way to do that? Why have you decided that's the right way?
It's not so much of it being the right way versus the wrong way. That's what's been put on my heart. And I deserve to give that an opportunity.
Explain that to people. People are going to be listening going, how do you make these decisions? So when you say it's on my heart, what does that mean?
Yeah, if it wasn't something for me to consider and be brave enough to do, I don't believe I would have that thought. So whether it be the universe or God, something is telling me inherently, like in my mind, Christy, go use your voice. And if it's on a stage, that's wonderful. If it's via a podcast, that's great too. If it's leading a workshop and being in action, walking the walk and talking the talk, having those things in alignment, I'm not limiting myself on what's possible because I know I've created something incredible. And if there's a stage for me to stand on and it's in alignment with my core values, if that's what's supposed to happen, I owe it the opportunity to occur.
And so I might say, why don't you just create video content because you can inspire people that way? Or, why don't you just create programs, group programs, or online? Like, why is it I'm going to go across America? I'm still not clear on that. Like, why is that the thing that you've decided is yours, is your next goal?
Sure. And I appreciate the deep dive into the clarity around it. For me, it's being able to see their faces. If I'm recording a video and throwing it up on social media or a website or YouTube, I don't know who's watching. And I also know that I'm more critical of myself when I'm trying to record videos and have to do 20 different takes to get the result I want.
Okay, I mean, you've gone with one specific example. I was just giving, it could be audio, it could be written content, it could be
Sure.
blogs, it could be, private Zoom rooms. Like, but you've gone specifically with, I want to tour America on stage talking to women. That seems a very specific tactic. That's what I was curious about. Like, how, because this is what people ask. How do I know what to do? What's the right tactic for me? And I appreciate you're saying right, wrong, but what's the tactic of choice, let's say? Forget about right and wrong. Like, why speaking on stage? And you in part said, because I want to see there. So that's like a, maybe selfish is the wrong word, but I talk about me being selfish all the time. I want to do things that fill
I'm
me.
absolutely selfish. And I don't think, personal opinion, I don't think people create the success they desire without being selfish.
Yeah, I agree. And that's, I suppose, what I was coming to. It's like, why that? Is it about you, or is it about maybe you thought that was the right move, or you think that's the best way to get there? Or, you know what I mean? That was kind of where I was getting at with it. But I didn't want to lead you down any path. I wanted to just see where you
I
went.
don't feel like you're leading me anywhere. I think you're definitely encouraging me to think a little deeper than the surface of the kiddie pool.
That's a good metaphor. I think that's an important thing for anyone listening. It's like, because I say it all the time. I say I'm 100% selfish, but I know that if I help people achieve their dream life, then I will get closer to mine. I might be selfish, but I'm not stupid, right? The Jim, it's a Zig Ziglar idea, right? The fastest way to get what you want is to help people get what they want. And I like that idea a lot, and I don't make any apologies about it. So I think that's probably where we have commonality, and I think it's great. There's no criticism for me on the move. I think traveling around, speaking live sounds great. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not married. I don't have children. It is me. I get to do whatever I want, when I want, where I want. And if I can get paid to go do that and write it off on my taxes and make it turn into income, absolutely sign me up.
I love it. Well, what's the big risk with this strategy? If you're going all in on this idea that I'm going to do 50 talks on stages, what's the risk?
The risk, I mean, at this point, I'm kind of like, what else do I have to lose?
That's a good place to be.
I'm going to bet on myself, and I am open to receive whatever that's supposed to look like from the universe. And if I walk into my business with the mindset of, I'm too scared to try, then what the hell am I doing?
Okay, fine. I like it. I like the bravado, but let's be realistic for a second. Let's say you do these tours and you make no money. What happens then?
Then I've at least honored who I am, and I've honored my voice and given myself the opportunity to share it. But if I don't go share with other people, and I don't talk to people about things that help them move the needle forward, then I'm not following through with the agreement that I've made to myself.
Very clear. Very clear, Christy Meaux.
Thank you.
We started by talking about how you went from mortgage professional, I think was the term, to chief empowerment officer, and how that was really as much about motivating yourself than motivating others, which I thought was a really interesting take. That's where the selfish part of it comes, and I think that's spot on. And then really about how expectations were set on you by others, and how you realized that you need to figure out your soul purpose, and that you identified that as being a connector. And then it was like, okay, well, the best path for me is to be a solopreneur, because then it's my vision, my decision, my consequences, really, my gains. And how, despite your family being college career type people, you were a little bit different and you had a segmented career. And then the mortgage sector, the day you realized this wasn't for you, that's when you started to brand yourself. And you had these opportunities with business strategy and skincare and writing professional bios, and how at that networking event, you realized that bringing it all together was cohesive confidence. That's how you introduced yourself. We also talked about the loss of your mom and how you relocated because of that, and how you had to reconnect, and the disconnection from where you came from, the creating a new environment, and how you had to do that again under circumstances that weren't pleasant. And then you filed your LLC and you created your beta program, and you created a new market for yourself. And now you know you're on the right path. Those self-doubts have gone. There's been momentum in the last 3 months. You've cut the tie with the mortgage world, even though you know you got it as a safety net if you need it, which I think is absolutely fine. And you got a 60-day financial goal because you want big things in 2026, including traveling America, speaking on stages to women, where if you help one, then the ripple effect is enough to nurture your soul, let's say. And the overall message is really use your voice to help others. That's really the overall message. And then we ended by talking about the selfishness needed to do things in the way that fuels you, so that you can give more. It's very paradoxical, but I think we got it quite right. Is there anything you want to say about what we talked about that would round it off?
I really encourage anyone listening to answer the question of what fills your cup and how do you set the expectations for yourself, but then allow yourself to believe in you in order to go get what you want out of life. And that could be across any channel, any lane, but ultimately don't wait for someone else to give you permission to be authentically you.
Wise words, Christy Meaux. Where can people find you?
People can find me on my website, cohesiveconfidence.com, across all social channels at Cohesive Confidence. And there is only one other person with my exact name, and she does not do what I do. So definitely find me on socials, reach out, connect. And if you want to schedule a connection call and spend 30 minutes chatting, I would love to have anyone who's listening and want more connection, reach out and do so. You can find that button on the homepage of my website.
Amazing. Christy Meaux, you've been a pleasure to talk to. Thank you for giving me your time. And I'm looking forward to seeing the feedback from the episode.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mo. Pleasure to be here. And thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. The difference between surviving and thriving often comes down to a single shift in perspective. Maybe today's conversation sparked something for you, or maybe it confirmed what you already knew. I'm going to keep exploring what it takes to reach the next level. For more solopreneur stories, hit subscribe. And if you know someone who'd be perfect for the team of one, please introduce us on LinkedIn. See you next time. Peace.